Hey, hey, hey! Good afternoon, guys. How was your bank holiday? How was your bank holiday? I'm like 5 minutes late to this live, and isn't it really annoying when just nature calls at the wrong time? I was thinking, do I share that with my listeners? Well, I'm just going to share it. You know what? I'm like raw and real. But yes, nature called at the wrong time. So sorry about that. I'm a few minutes late. So lovely to see you all. Give me a shout, give me a wave. Drop me something in the comments. Let me know what you got up to over the bank holiday weekend. Oh, it's just been absolutely beautiful. There's something about when the sun is shining, everything just seems like a million times better, doesn't it? So we had a lovely weekend. We actually drove down to Kent and saw some really good friends of ours who we've not seen in about 18 months. And it was just lovely. They had this it was literally like a swimming pool. It was like an inflatable paddling pool, but it was like 12 foot by 10 foot or something ridiculous. It was amazing. The kids just had an absolute blast, and we didn't get home last night until about 10:30. So let me know what you were up to this weekend. Let me know in the chat box. And we're going to be live streaming this particular content I'm going to be talking about today around passive income. And we're going to be popping this onto the podcast as well, because it's something that we've spoken about on a number of occasions. And I talk a lot about income generation and building semi-passive income in my mastermind, but it's not something I really talk about a lot outside of my mastermind. So I was really quite excited to come live today and just really talk through how many things I have, 25 different ways that you can create semi-passive income to grow your wealth in 2021. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And for any of you that are watching live on the video, you'll notice a link that is on my screen this morning. Now, a lot of the reasons why people don't create more income streams for themselves is for 5 reasons. Let's start with that. And let me know if you can resonate with any of these if you're watching this live. So the first one is figuring the idea out in the first place. Like, yes, I want to create passive income or semi-passive income, but I don't know where to start. That's one of the number one reasons. I polled this in my Facebook community this morning. It was the number one reason why people don't create passive or semi-passive income is they don't know where to get started. Number one. The second one is tech. Like maybe you've got the idea, but you're like, well, how do I even get that out to the world? Who's going to buy my idea, my product or my service? Who's going to buy it? Where do I find those clients? Let me know if you resonate with that one. Or maybe, but I don't know how to build the course. Like I've got this idea for an online course, but I don't know where to build it. What platform do I use? All the kind of tech gremlins come out. The third one is money. I don't have the money to invest in creating the idea. And that's maybe stopping you from creating it. So that can be another block as to why people don't get started. The other one is time, which I would kind of argue is not necessarily a real challenge, because time is an asset that we can't create more of, but we all have the same amount of time. So it's really about prioritizing time more than anything else. And I say that from a place of love. I say that from a place of, I totally hear and understand why we think it's time. And, you know, I built my first business when I was employed and had a baby. So I understand that time is a challenge, but it's how we prioritize that time that tends to be the challenge. What kind of things get in our way? Or maybe we're motivated to a certain level, but not quite enough to then give up the Netflix time to go and build something, for example. And there's no judgment at all there, by the way. So time can be one. And then the final one, which I think is the biggest one, is fear of failure stroke fear of success. Like, let me know if you resonate with this, because a lot of people, including a lady I've just spoken to this morning on a phone call who was interested in coming to my mastermind, she was like, but what if it doesn't work? What if it's not perfect? What if nobody buys it? What if someone says something about it? What if my partner or someone in my family comments on it, or someone I don't want to see comments on my social media account or sees me building something? Excuse me, it's the what ifs. And I totally get this. This is the whole imposter syndrome, the perfectionist, you know, that part of us that comes up because we're scared. And that's totally, totally normal. It's human nature to be scared. It's human nature to feel fear. If you didn't feel fear, you wouldn't really be human, right? Because that's the brain's main job, is to protect you from fear. And so it will remind you constantly of fears, because its job is it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to protect you away from pain. And often the fear of failure or the fear of success will come from an experience or something that we've grown up around, and we don't want to replicate that same feeling. So we just kind of go, oh, no, that feels too scary. I don't understand how to do that, so I'm just not going to do anything. Those are kind of some of the main reasons why people don't create passive or semi-passive income streams. Let me just define as well, like, what do I mean by passive and semi-passive income? Now, if you Google it, you'll get the standard, passive income is defined as something that is income that requires little to no effort in order to earn or maintain that income. That's the kind of Google dictionary term, if you like. But for me, this is about you creating revenue for something that you love. And the reason I say that is because I cannot tell you how much I wish I do what I do like 20 years ago. I spent so long feeling trapped in a job that I didn't really like, but I did it because it paid the bills. And I was almost like in a golden handshake position of being in a job. I actually quite liked my job, but I didn't like many aspects of my job. I didn't like the politics. I didn't like certain aspects of my job. But I had no idea what even existed. And I was saying to a friend yesterday, this whole online world just fascinates me every single day, about the opportunities for people to go from earning 20 to 30,000 a year to earning 200 to 300,000 a year in a very quick period of time. And, it took me 4 years to get to six figures. And some entrepreneurs earn it much faster, some much slower. Like, it's not a race, and it doesn't actually matter. But what does matter is about you creating income based on something that you love, that you're bloody good at, and for you to think about what is the mission that you want to share with the world. Now, I want to be quite practical on this, so I'm not going to get too kind of stuck into the psychological depth, which I often do around, finding something that you love. But I do love talking about this because, if you're sitting listening to this thinking, I do generally want to create something, but I don't know where to get started. I'm fearful of the tech. I'm fearful of failure. I'm fearful of what other people are going to say. I don't have the time and I don't have the money. Like, let me know if you just resonate with any of those. I want to give you some practical things that you can listen to today. And I would really, really recommend, if you want some next steps, I'm working very closely with a lady called Lisa Johnson, who was my mentor for a while. I'm still in her community. She's also in the mastermind that I'm in. We're about to go to Necker Island, hopefully in September, to champion some of our causes, for what we want to give back to the world with the money that we're creating, right? This isn't about money for yourself. This is about money for yourself and for the change that you want to create in the world. Now, I want to create significant change around financial trauma and financial abuse. And that's what I'm using my wealth to give back to the world. And you can do that for yourselves too. And Lisa is about to run her infamous 5-day challenge. It's completely free. It will help you to get through those blocks of figuring out the tech, figuring out the idea in the first place, and busting through those fears of money, time, and fear of failure. So just hop along to the link, catherinemorgan.com/passive income, register for her free challenge. I've done the challenge. I've done her course, which she'll be launching very soon as well, if you are ready to get started. But even if you just do the challenge, it's amazing. So hop on over there and make sure you do that. But I want to go through some practical things with you today. So, and I've actually got notes. I know, I've actually got notes for this episode because I didn't want to miss anything. So what have I written down here? Okay, so one of the common questions I get asked is like, where did you get started, Catherine? People always like to ask questions about like, how did you build semi-passive income? And I don't have any passive income streams in my business. I don't have any. Everything I have it involves some kind of time, either from me or from my team. Now, the reason I want to say that is there's a lot of kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but there's a lot of like misconceptions about what semi-passive income is. And I don't have any passive income streams. I am considering investing in property, which is one of the income streams that you can create from my business revenue next year. And that will be passive, because once I've bought the property, it will be fully managed and let out to a management company. So I don't have any of my personal time allocated. God, I'm wearing this dress dungaree today, and it's really annoying because it's kind of slipping on my shoulder. So if you're watching this on the video, sorry if I keep touching my shoulder. I've just got this, it's a really cool, funky like dungaree dress, and it's got these really long straps, but it keeps slipping off my shoulders. Anyway, sorry, completely random. So that link again was catherinemorgan.com/passive income. It's on the screen as you're watching this live. And if you're listening to this on the podcast recording, I'll pop it into the show notes. So the question I always get is how did you get started? So when I first set up my business, in the first 18 months, my first semi-passive income stream, which I still have today, was a membership. And it's called the Money Circle membership. Many of you will be in the community. And the reason I launched that was for two reasons. One, my mentor told me I should launch a membership, so I launched a membership. The second reason was people were asking me. I was giving away loads of free content and free value, but I wasn't monetizing it. And the third reason was I wanted to help a lot of people. And so a membership model just made sense for me, because it enabled me to charge and monetize my content in a way that I didn't feel icky about it, because I could charge, a low cost membership. Because at the time when I first started my business, my money block, even though I am a money mindset expert, I had my own money blocks. We all do. And my money block was, I have to help as many people as possible. So I can't charge high premiums for my services. And so a membership for me, alongside my podcast launch, were the first things I launched in my business. And for me, it was a big tick in the box to say, I am giving back through my podcast content and through my membership in a way that makes me feel aligned. It made me feel aligned. I felt quite comfortable with it. So that was the first thing that I launched. Now, when I launched my membership, I launched with 100 founding members. We sold out within like 48 hours. And we still have that membership today. It's one of my favorite places to hang out. And so for me, when I launched my membership, I'd spent 18 months building my audience. So I had people ready to buy. And a lot of people get this wrong. They think, well, I'll launch a membership and then I'll build my audience. But for me, that doesn't work, because you've got to have the audience there and ready, because your audience will tell you what they need. So then if you don't have an audience telling you what you need, you'll end up growing something based on what you think they need, which is not the same thing. So one of the exercises actually you'll do in Lisa Johnson's challenge is to understand who is your ideal client, who is the kind of person who might buy something from you in the next 6 to 12 months once you've built your audience. So that was the first thing I did. The second income stream I built then was my Inner Circle Mastermind, which we don't run anymore, but it was a fairly low cost mastermind, if you like. I didn't charge enough for it, but I loved it, so I didn't mind. And that created me another, it was about £1,200 per month in revenue. So I had, by that point, about £5,000 of revenue per month, reoccurring. Not passive, because it was a lot of my time invested in organizing trainings for the memberships, bringing guest experts in, organizing all the tech. I had to bring in a virtual assistant to help me manage the tech. My mastermind, for example, I had to show up every week. I had to do one-to-one calls with them. So it wasn't passive, but it was semi-passive. And what that meant for me was that because I then had 5K of income coming in a month, that covered all my expenses and more. And then it freed up my time to then focus on my other high income generating activities. And that's how I started building my business. So this is entirely possible for anyone listening to this thinking, I want to start, but I don't know where to get started. The key is understanding, what are you passionate about? What do you love talking about? What questions do people ask you all the time that you just tell them? Like, what are you that go-to expert in? What do you love? What could you, if you could only talk about one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? Like, some of these kind of questions can really help you to piece together some ideas. Where is there a market opportunity right now? I've just come off the call to a lady who is a property sourcer. And I'm like, we just paid a lady in Jersey, a significant amount of money to find us a house, because we're not there. We haven't got eyes on the property market. The property market is flying over there. So houses come and go within 24 hours. So we've paid her to go and find us the right property. So she knows that we need a good sized garden because we've got a puppy and we've got 2 children. She knows where we need to be geographically in terms of schools. She knows the garden needs to be fenced in. She knows all these things about us so that she can find us that property. And that will save us time and stress because people will often pay for things that save them time or save them money. And so I was talking to her about, this is an amazing opportunity right now with people looking to come out of London and go into the countryside, for example, because of COVID, and they don't need to work in the office 5 days a week anymore. So it's opportunities like that of putting together your passion and your purpose, your skills, things that you just love to talk about, that you like to do to build income streams for yourself. So I better get into my 25 tips. Otherwise I'm going to be here all day. But I just wanted to share that's where I started in my business. So the number one idea that you could think about is to create an online course or a membership or a hybrid, something that is something between the two. And that could be a way for you to bring together your passion, your purpose, your skills, things that you're great at, into an online platform, whether it's pre-recorded or live taught. You could create some online courses or memberships where people need your help, number one. Number two, as an idea, is you could create a book, and it could be a digital book, something called an ebook, that could just pull together some really good tips. Like this video right now, for example, I could pull this video together into an ebook, and I could put it out there for like 99 pence or a few pounds or 50 pounds and put some videos alongside it or do a Q&A around it, because there's so much content in the universe right now. People don't necessarily need more content, but they need the steps, they need the framework, they need the methodology. They want the formulas, they want things that will help them get there quicker. And that's what people will pay for. So you could create an ebook of how to go and find a house in Jersey, like in 48 hours. Like I would pay money for that because I'm currently in that position of trying to find a house in Jersey. So an ebook is something you could create. And don't forget that content is an asset. I'm just going to say that again, and I want you to write this down. Content is an asset. And if you're listening live, type this in the chat box for me. I want people to see this. Content is an asset. When someone told me that 4 years ago, it was a game changer for me. I didn't sit there thinking, oh God, I've got to do another podcast. Oh, I've got to do another Facebook Live. Because I just sat there thinking, this is an asset. This is my intellectual property that I'm putting out there to the world. And if it helps one person, that's my main thing. So if this has helped you, if this video has helped you today, or this podcast has helped you, please share it, because this is the mission, right? We want to help as many people as possible to get financially free, to reduce anxiety and stress, and to set themselves up for life. And content is an asset. So every piece of content that you create is a saleable asset. You could package up all your content and sell it in the future. So remember that when you're creating any content, every piece of content you create is an asset. Okay, next one. Number 3 is be an affiliate for somebody. So we support around 6 to 7 businesses every year. So when we map out our best year yet, which is what we do at the end of the year, we currently look at our existing partnerships, and we have a conversation with them about what they're launching in the next 12 months. And for some of those partners, we will support them. We'll interview them on our podcast. we'll invite them to come and do a guest expert training in our membership. I will support them by giving away some of my time to give away some training, for example. There's lots of ways that you can support people. You might write a blog about them and put their link in your blog, for example. So being an affiliate partner is where you support and promote somebody in exchange for something. It's not always a financial reward. We have many referral partners that there's no financial exchange. And that works really, really well because they have our ideal client in their audience and we have their ideal client in their audience. So it's like there's a shared audience there. So we give great value to their audience and vice versa. But that's a great way of building connections. And the key question to ask yourself before going into any relationship or partnership is there a synergy there with values? Because if there isn't, that's when people get stung. So, there's got to be an alignment of your brand values. It's got to feel right as well. We get approached probably half a dozen times a week. And most of those people we say no to because it just doesn't feel aligned. So choose well with your partnerships, but it's a great way to build your audience and for them to build their audience because you've got that shared audience. It's what we call a borrow marketing strategy. So it enables you to borrow their audience and they borrow yours back. So if you're sitting there thinking, but I don't have an audience, then whose audience can you borrow? Whose audience can you go and borrow? And what would be the agreement? That you do something back or there's a financial agreement? So there's definitely some opportunities there for collaboration. And I'm a huge believer in better together, right? Better together. Someone typed that in the chat box as I'm recording this live. Better together. I am a huge believer in that. But it's finding the right partnerships and the right people to work with. So number 4 is to develop an affiliate program for your own products or services. So let me give you an example of what we've done in our business. So we've created 2 ambassador programs, one for our Money Circle membership and one for our financial coaching training program. Both very different. One of them is a 12-month investment, higher price point. One of them, when they get a certification at the end, one of them is a low-cost monthly subscription. But what we do is we reward people in our communities to share the words, to share what they love about having done our programs or being in our community, and they get financially rewarded back. So you can do this very easily. You can do it in a very complicated way. We like to keep things very simple. But we just use some tech plugins essentially to our membership portals that are built on our websites, and that enables people to share a special link. And then anyone that joins through their link, they get a little referral. So if you're in memberships, go and find out whether they have any affiliate programs or any refer a friend partnerships offerings or anything like that, so that you can be rewarded for talking about them. Where am I up to? 5. Number 5, property. So this is another way that you can build passive income or semi-passive income, is to invest in property. So as I mentioned at the start, we haven't done this yet, but as we're currently moving to Jersey, as I just mentioned, we are going to be renting our residential property out, and then we're looking to invest in a commercial property from the business. So that will become a future additional income stream. Now, there's lots of pros and cons of investing in property, which I won't go into on this particular podcast, although we have delivered some detailed training on this several times actually in our Money Circle membership. So if that's something you're interested in, then you can come and join us in the membership. But property is a great way to leverage money and potentially future revenue. One of the ideas I've always liked the thought of is investing in a property that my children could maybe use at university. And that could become an asset that we pass on to them in the future. And of course, investing in, I know this isn't a passive income stream as such, but talking of children's investments, we had a guest expert in the Money Circle last week, and we were talking about pensions for children. Investing in pensions for children is a great way to, just put a small amount into a a children's pension now so that in the future they've got a really nice source of future income for themselves. So property is one. YouTube I've got as number 6. I just want any of you who have children particularly to just Google YouTube millionaires, because YouTube is a single platform where there is an opportunity for you to create really great engaging content around your area of expertise, and potentially, become a very big influencer. So, particularly for children, I think, my kids are always watching YouTube, and YouTube is a great platform for you to be able to share content, and people will follow that content. And once you get to a certain number of subscribers on YouTube and a certain number of hours of listeners on your video content, you can turn on ad sponsorship on YouTube, sorry. And you can make revenue from that. Some of my friends earn a few £1,000s a month just from YouTube advertising. So YouTube is another platform where you could create semi-passive income. The next one I've got written down here then is about selling assets. So if you're a photographer, if you are a voice coach, or you do, you could, for example, create people's podcast intros. You've got a good audio setup, things like that. You could create a website or a membership where you sell those. You could be a photographer, for example, where you take photographs for entrepreneurs to use on their websites. When I first started my business, I used a stock image website that had some really feminine pictures, because I didn't want the kind of typical masculine corporate images. I wanted some really nice ones that would connect with my audience. So I paid a monthly subscription to download every month some templates that I could use. So maybe that's something that you could create. You could also go on to platforms like Upwork or Fiverr.com. So if you're a freelancer, you could list your portfolios, your services on platforms like Upwork, Upwork.com or Fiverr.com, and list your services. So that's another great way of making revenue. One of the clients I worked with last year, she built up £45,000 worth of revenue by listing one of her key services on Upwork, and she just kept all the money in her Upwork account, and then she invested that money. So she kind of kept it separate from the rest of her wealth, kind of out of sight, out of mind, because she was an emotional spender, and then she invested that 45,000. So that could be an opportunity for you. Number 8, cashback websites. So this is probably one that you've all heard of before, but when I looked at my top cashback website this morning, I've made like £5,000 in the last 5 years from using cashback websites. So things that I would be buying anyway, like my Sky, my insurance renewals, hotel bookings, train tickets, obviously not so many of those recently, but all these little things add up. So using top cashback that's my favorite one. It's a great way to just earn, again, very passive, extra money. And I know this sounds like, oh yeah, but it's not very much money. But even if it's like, £50 here or there, that's 50 quid here or there that could be allocated to one of your pots that could be used for lots of different things. So that was my number 8, cashback sites. Number 9, podcast sponsorship. I could probably just say podcasting in general. Podcasting is huge. And we've done some previous episodes actually with a very good friend of mine on launching podcasts on the In Her Financial Shoes podcast before. So I won't go into too much detail with this, but monetizing your podcast is a great way to, again, generate income from your business. That can be through placing ads on your podcast, or through a brand sponsorship. So an ad is like, sometimes when you listen to the American ones and you get this little ad that pops up and the host of the podcast will say like, oh, and hey, if you want to use Teachable for your course platform, head to this link. Like that's an ad clip. And they'll get paid like £1 or £2 or £3 for every time someone clicks and uses that link. A sponsorship, brand sponsorship is different, because that might be a good friend of mine, for example, Pete Matthews. His podcast is sponsored by an investment company, and they pay a sponsorship fee for that. So that could be a way that you actually get paid to generate your content. Okay, number 10, blogging. Blogging. This is actually where I started in the first 6 months of my business. I started blogging. I was in a blogging community. I was really interested in writing blogs and earning money from it because I was wanting to create a little bit of income for myself to cover my business expenses. And, so blogging is a great way, blogging about other people's products and services, using affiliate links, working with brands who will pay you to write about their products or services. That can be a really great way of making 500 to 2, 3, 4, 5,000 pounds per month from blogging. And again, we have one of the absolute queens of making money from blogs coming into our Money Circle community just after the summer to talk about how you can actually get started making money from blogging. Number 11, speaking. So if you are confident speaking about your story, then earning money from speaking is a great way of earning semi-passive income. I'd probably argue it's not even passive at all, really, because you've got to show up and talk. But it's another income stream that you could create. You could go out there as a key person of influence. Daniel Priestley's work talks about positioning yourself as a key person of influence. If you haven't read his book, highly recommend it. We featured it on one of our podcasts before. It's one of the best books that I really recommend for new entrepreneurs. So Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. So speaking opportunities, number 11. Number 12, peer-to-peer lending. Now, peer-to-peer lending is a great way of potentially leveraging off the growth of other businesses who are looking for borrowing. So they're looking for money from other businesses in order to grow. Now, there are risks with peer-to-peer lending because that company may not be successful. And so therefore the capital you've invested may be lost. So it is quite a high risk way of investing. And I would really not invest any money in that you can't really afford to lose, because that could happen. But it is a great way, particularly if you're quite supportive of supporting other businesses as they grow, of investing in. Funding Circle is a really big peer-to-peer lending platform. And it may well be that you decide, for a proportion of your revenue as you grow, that you will invest that in other businesses. So peer-to-peer lending is another opportunity. And I've kind of put number 13 kind of connected with that, investing in other businesses. My mentor, Nick Bradley, and I'll pop a link in, he's created a really good free guide actually on how to get started investing in other profitable businesses where you don't necessarily have the capital yourself. He teaches entrepreneurs how to go about investing in other people's properties with not very much capital. And it's been really interesting. Actually, I've been going through some of that learning myself. And, so you could potentially use some of your own money to invest in other businesses. Obviously, you need to do a huge amount of due diligence and make sure you go and work with someone who knows what they're doing around this area. But that could be a way of buying a business rather than setting one up from scratch. And I guess adding to that as well, like working with somebody, maybe you're fearful of not, starting something yourself, but maybe you could work with somebody. That could be a collaboration, or it could just be a business partner. It could be working in a mastermind and collaborating with somebody there, for example. We've helped many entrepreneurs collaborate within our masterminds before, where they just don't really want to do things by themselves. Number 14, physical products. So let me know, for you guys listening live, let me know so far which of those income streams that I've mentioned are you investing in, or which one of those do you feel most tempted to get started with? Let me know in the chat if you're listening live. But I want to talk about physical products, because physical products can be a great way of adding in further income to an existing business, but they can also be a good place to start. So I don't know whether I've mentioned this before actually, but when I had my first business, which was as a personal stylist, my second business was a product-based business. So I was styling women as to how to dress for their body shape after they'd had children, because everything changes right? After we've had children. And originally I started with a company called Stella and Dot, which was an American company. So I was kind of piggybacking off their brand. This was a franchise, and I would buy a pack of their stock, and I'd have it at home, and I would take it out to people's homes, and I would style them, and then I would sell them these products, and I would make a percentage of what they were paying to Stella and Dot. I would make a commission. And then I did that for about a year. And the feedback I was getting from my clients was their products are quite expensive. And I had to remember that they were mums, right? So they didn't have a huge amount of money to invest in themselves. One of the biggest lessons I learned in my second business was listening to what your clients' needs are. Their needs were they couldn't afford to buy a necklace that was £80. So I went to the wholesale markets, and I had some help from my dad because this was his business in Australia. And I created my own range. I had my own range of jewelry. And then I expanded that jewelry range into homeware and scarves and handbags and all sorts of things that I was using when I was styling clients. So I was making revenue from styling clients, and then I was making additional revenue from the products that they were purchasing. So physical products can be a really good way of making semi-passive income. And some of the other physical products, and we sell candles now, predominantly to send to our VIP clients, but on our website, catherinemorgan.com, we have a shop window, and on there we have candles that are bespoke for our brands. Because when we talk about having a money date, we talk about lighting a candle, having it as an all sensory participation, because that can help to reduce the anxiety by having nice smells around you. So I have my own candle range. In fact, I have one right here, and people can buy this. And I don't make these candles. So this is what we call drop shipping, which is my next one. And drop shipping is where somebody else creates the products, but they post them for you. So you don't hold any stock. Excuse me. You don't hold any stock, which means that your capital outlay is quite low. Excuse me. Now, I built my second business called Gorgeous As. It still exists now. The lady who bought it from me was my next door neighbor, and she continues to run that business herself now. But Gorgeous As was a brand that I built, and I did drop shipping. So I would go and find products that I thought my clients would like, and I would list them on my website, but they would post them, so I didn't have to hold all the stock. So that's what they call drop shipping. And I used to go to all the wholesale fairs in Birmingham and London. I used to absolutely love it. But the hard thing was I wanted to buy all the things I loved. And the hard thing was trying to find the products that would make the most profit, that people could actually that would sell the most. And I remember buying this gold necklace, and I hated it. It was awful. It had these pearls. It was like a heart shape, and it had pearls inside it, and it was gold. I don't like any gold jewelry anyway, but it sold like hotcakes. And I had this bracelet which had something about leaving an imprint on your heart, like it was like a mummy bracelet, and it was our top seller over the Christmas fairs that year. But I hated it. And it was really hard because I was as a buyer, I was standing there thinking, what I like, my client may not like, or what I don't like, my client may love. And it was such a valuable lesson when I look back at that. And I think sometimes we build things that we think people will buy because we would like them for ourselves. But it's not about us, it's about our clients. So we can actually create courses or membership ideas and build it once we've sold it, because our clients will tell us what they want. So we give them what they want. So that lesson was really, really valuable when I created that dropshipping business. So that was point number 15, was drop shipping. Number 16 is stocks and shares. And I've put here that stocks and shares, investing in the stock market is pretty passive, because you can just literally set up a direct debit and it can be done automatically. Now, I'm a huge believer in investing and then forgetting. I'm not an active trader. I don't sit there every day and look at the share prices. I don't buy and sell on a daily basis. I literally just invest and then I leave it. Because there's lots of research that shows that investing in the market is more important than timing of the markets. And having spent 20 years advising clients, that's always been my philosophy. That's what I was trained. That's what I learned as a financial advisor was, it's not about trading and speculating. Although I know a lot of people have a lot of fun doing that. That wasn't something that I was taught. And so I just go very vanilla, very basic, very unsexy. And it works for me. I dabble with the odd share here and there, but I take a very cautious, quite strategic, passive approach with investing in the stock market. But that's not income that's going to generate me money now. That's money that's going to pay my future self. That's money that I'm investing into other companies, because then I can draw on that pot of money later in life. It's about income now versus income tomorrow. I'm really conscious, like I'm 40 minutes into this recording, and this is actually probably going to turn into like a 50-minute podcast episode or a video. So my apologies. I didn't mean to make this such a long one, actually, but this is the challenge, isn't it? When you start talking about all these different ideas, like there's just so much to talk about. So more of this is going to come in the future for sure, but I hope you're still with me. So point number 17 is franchising, as I've already kind of mentioned there. A franchise is a business where you as the entrepreneur have rights to use a company that's already in existence, that their brand, their logo, their products, their services, and you're kind of piggybacking off that brand. So it's a bit like, how many of you buy a Starbucks coffee or a Costa coffee? Yeah, that's a franchise. So you can profit from the franchise's brands, but whilst kind of still running your own operation. You just have, certain rules that you have to stick to, and things like that. But it's a great way. And also you could create your own franchise. You could create your own product range. Like with this candle I just showed you, I also have a spray. Now, the lady whose business this is, Moments, this is by Helen McHugh. Just a bit of a shout out to Helen, because Helen has created this incredible business. And she created it from her bedroom, where she would make her own candles from home. And now she has this empire in the northern part of England. And she creates these beautiful, beautiful products. And she now has a franchise. So she enables other people to have their own businesses within her brands. So investing through a franchise or creating your own, even better, is a great way to build a future income stream for yourself. So that may be one to think about. Really what's important there is, if you're going to work under a franchise, is thinking about brand reputation, the time invested versus the profit that you're going to make. Those are sort of the main things to think about with franchises. But go check out Helen McHugh for some source of inspiration for what you could create for yourself. Number 18, I've put Airbnb. So you could rent out your house for income, or an investment property for income. One of my very good friends, Patricia, she has multiple properties around the world, and she rents them out on Airbnb. So rather than using an agent, she uses Airbnb, and that creates some income for herself, some fairly passive income as well. So Airbnb is number 18. Number 19, mystery shopping. I've dabbled on this in the past, not anymore. But when I first entered into the business world, I was like, oh, maybe I can make some money by doing some mystery shopping. And I did a couple of mystery shops, sort of 50 quid here, 100 quid here. But you learn some really interesting things by mystery shopping other businesses, filling in questionnaires or surveys, for example. So just Google mystery shopping if that's something that you're interested in as well. Oh, number 20, I've put cost per click ads. So you could, for example, set up a website, and your main aim could be to direct traffic to that website. And when traffic is going to that website, maybe you're creating a really good blog that gets into the top 3 of Google, and any traffic that comes through that blog, you're going to have an ad in that blog that is a click to somebody's product or service. And that's what they call a cost per click. Now, there's websites like anwin.com where you can list your website, you can become an influencer, and you can get paid for companies that want to share their work. So maybe it's a fintech company like Monzo, for example. Maybe they want you to write a blog about them, and anyone who clicks on that blog and opens an account with Monzo, you get a payment. So cost per clicks, particularly if you're building a website that has a lot of traffic, can be a great way of earning passive income. And that kind of feeds on to point number 21, which is influencer marketing. So we all know with the online day and age that, brands do like to leverage off influencers. And you can have huge influencers, with millions of followers on Instagram. And you can have micro influencers with less than 10,000 on their Instagram account. And it's not always about numbers. Sometimes the smaller communities can have more engaged communities than having millions of followers on Instagram, for example. And don't think that because you're not famous, you can't be an influencer. Let me tell you, I've been in business for 5 years and I get approached probably 3 or 4 times a week to support another company from an influencer marketing perspective, most of which we say no to. So, don't necessarily think that because you're not famous, you can't be that go-to influencer. And again, read Daniel Priestley's book, Key Purpose of Influence. You could create a niche for yourself where you become that go-to expert in that niche. You could do that within 12 months. If you were visible enough, you would be able to do that. But we don't get visible, right? Because we have this fear. So it's about managing those fears and showing up in a way that is going to create positive change in the world. And that's always the way I, whenever I'm fearful about doing anything, I'm like, right, what impact is this going to have if it just helps one single person? So if this video or this podcast is helping you today, let me know. Tell me in the comments, share this podcast, share this video, send me a message, however you want to do that. Because then I know I've done it's been a valuable 45 minutes of my day because I've helped one person. And that one person who might be you listening right now is going to help me towards my million. That's my mission, is to equip and prepare 1 million people to be financially resilient. So that's influencer marketing. 22. This took me a while to think of this one. Buying and selling domain names. So when I bought catherinemorgan.com, it cost me £800 for my name. If you don't have your name, go and get it right now. This is the one action I want you to take today. Go to GoDaddy or something like that and buy your name, .co.uk and .com, before it costs you 800 quid. But you could buy some domain names. I don't know, like themoneyclub.com, that some people you think might want to have in the future. Go and buy it, and then you can sell it. You can sell them on eBay. You can sell them on GoDaddy. Have an auction page actually that you can list them on there. But people make some seriously good money from selling domain names. Just if you go onto eBay and just type in domain names, you'll see how much people charge for really, really good domain names. If you think of one and no one's got it, go and buy it. So that was point number 22. And by the way, if you do create a domain, you could use the auction sites, but you could just set up. So let's say it was themoneyclub.com. Set up themoneyclub.com and put like a landing page on there and just put, if you want to buy this domain, please contact . And then people who want that domain can contact you, and then you can haggle with them as to how much you want to charge. So flipping, buying and selling domains. 3 last points. Number 23, Google ads on your website. Again, this is, once you create a website that gets good traffic, which does take time, by the way. It took me 2 years to get my domain up to 30, which is kind of considered quite good in the blogging world. Once you get your domain authority, your DA score to 30, like you've made it in the blogging world. It took me 2 years to do that. And so once you get to a point where you have built a good website, good content, then you could place some ads on your website. And again, that works where people click on the ad and then you'll earn some kind of affiliate payment for doing that. So that's point number 23. Point number 24 is sponsored blogs or paid guest articles on your website. So if you are an expert in something, go and approach other websites and ask them if you can write for them, write a guest expert article, and you're asking for a link back. The link back is really important because they'll link back to your website. And external backlinks, they call these, are great for your website visibility. But you can also be paid for that. Like there's lots of people that will happily go and pay someone to write an article to put on their website because maybe they haven't got time to do that themselves. You could, if you're a writer, list your services on peopleperhour.com or fiverr.com or upwork.com, and you could make a few £100s a month on writing for other people's websites, for example, or more. Like there you can definitely make more than a few £100, but if you're getting started, that might be something you could do. And the final one, point number 25, which is like the most important one. Are you ready? You've probably never heard of this. Are you ready? Number 25, this is the most important way for you to create passive or semi-passive income. Are you ready? A simple mindset shift. Yep, that is the biggest way that you are going to go from listening to this right now to creating that for yourself. Because as soon as we start to believe in ourselves and ignore or acknowledge the little voice in our head that says, but what if? What if my ex-husband sees it? What if my friends from school see it? What if my mum sees it? What if it's not perfect? What if so-and-so says this about it? All these what if scenarios. A simple, or when I say simple, not easy, but a simple mindset shift to improve your self-worth and your confidence, to tell yourself you're not a fraud. This is possible for you. You have got time to create this for yourself. You do know what you could do. It's just giving you that confidence to believe that this is possible. And part of this, is visualizing that this is even possible. So carry on following me over the next few weeks, because I'm going to have some more resources that I'm going to be sharing with you that are going to help you to just bust through some of this. And if you do want to start thinking about, well, I think I might have some ideas, but I just don't know where to get started, or you're fearful of some of the tech, or you want some feedback on some of your ideas, do come and join me in Lisa Johnson's Passive Income Challenge. It will be full of lots of like-minded people like yourselves who will be open and willing to help to take you through your next steps. So let this be your next step right now. Head over to katherinemorgan.com/passive income and come and join me. I'll be doing this with you. Come and join me in Lisa's free challenge, and we will help you together to build out your ideas for your next passive or semi-passive income stream. And who knows, in 3, 4, 5 years' time or less, you might be sitting here sharing your content with the world. You may not, you don't have to share content in the world, but you may just have that idea, that one idea that's going to be the next step for you to make this possible for you. And I really want, if you're listening to this live on the podcast or on the video and you think, I want to do it, but I'm worried, just register and do it. Okay, we'll have your back, and share this with anyone that you think, or tag anybody into this video if you think that you want to do this for somebody, a friend, or you just, you want to share it in your communities. If we can help more women and men, right? I'm not just all for women, but my audience is women, right? If we can help more women to believe that this is even possible, I cannot tell you how life-changing this is. It's just completely changed my life. My mission now is to equip and prepare 1 million women to be financially resilient. And that's you guys. So come on this journey with me. Let's do this together. And I look forward to seeing you in the challenge I think it starts in 10 days time. So make sure you register. And thank you for listening to this video today. I've really enjoyed actually talking about business stuff for a change. And let me know if you have any feedback or you've got any ideas. Come into our community and share those with us, and we've got your back all the way. Have a great rest of your sunny Tuesday, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care, guys.